Hey. So this is actually going to be a really long video, so most of you are not going to watch it now, but you may want to save it and you certainly might want to share it. Let me just see what Facebook's just offered me. Yeah, let's go share to a group. Chris Virgin's here. Well, this is how to buy a water-fed pole from a designer's perspective. Because I've just seen a couple of videos going out in the last couple of weeks from people who haven't actually done very much water-fed work because they're basically trade guys. But also like just trying to truncate it to something really simplistic. And I think it's really worth me sharing with you, like I've got a whole list of things that I'm going to go through, and this will be converted into an SP, right? But you know, I got a whole list of things here that I'm going to go through, and here's my desk all laid out. So yeah, go and grab a beer or a coffee and get ready for the ride, right? So I'm going to get straight into this. I got to lay out my camera, and this is how to buy. It's part of a draft series, so we'll convert all this into professional looking videos. But what do I want to talk about first? Well, the first thing I want to say is that a water-fed pole can't clean a window, right? So let me get where's my page that'll help me with that? Okay, let's go here. How's that? We can see that. Good. All right, so if I've got a window here, you'll see I've got a few of these already laid out, right? If you have a look at, you know, what are the components? We've got a filter. Can you see there? Yep. Yeah, we've got a little filter, and then we've got a dude. Yeah, could be a lady as well. Yep. And then we've got some tube. Oh, he's over here now. And then we've got a pole, and then we've got a brush, right? So what cleans the window? Well, there's no doubt that the tool that cleans the window is this fella here. This cleans glass. And that's really, really important, right? Because what does this do? This fella here, right, before the water-fed pole, somebody was gonna put up a ladder. And then there's gonna be a dude here, or a lady, right? And he's going to carry some tools, right? Make sure they look like tools. He's going to climb the ladder, and he's going to, you know, let's say there's a window there, and he's going to put the tool on the glass. So basically the ladder helps the guy put the tool on the glass. And then now the dude or the lady, right, he grabs a pole and he extends it and he puts the tool on the glass. Right? So in theory, a guy could actually walk up a ladder with a water-fed brush and put the tool on the glass. But it's the brush that cleans the glass. The pole is juxtaposed against the ladder, right? And the filter is just what we need, right? The maximum return on investment efficiency you can gain is by mastering your brush. The second most is by having a rigid pole that gives you the accuracy and whatever. And there's no return on investment from an efficiency point of view from a filter system. Right? All we want from that is spot-free water, so that when we walk away, it evaporates and the water is dry. Okay, so when we say, you know, how to buy a water-fed pole, I think that what you need to do is embrace these three, you know, in this order: 1, 2, 3. And whatever monies you've got left after making great brush decisions and great pole decisions, you spend on filters. But you'll find that there's more money selling you a filter, by the way. Like, I know this, right? Because I manufacture all these things. There's more money selling you a filter than there is by selling you a pole and a brush. So most focus is going here. If, oh, your water's over 150, you need an RO system, yeah? So that's not true. All right, so let's go. That's that one done. Woohoo! Getting there. Okay, so what do we want to talk about? I am quite passionate about how to select the length of the water-fed pole. Oh, let's cover that one. Let's have a look at this. I don't know if you can see this one. 3 parts to a water-fed pole, yeah? So we've got the brush, well, we've got the filter, and we've got the tube, and then we've got the pole, and then up there is the brush, yeah? So if there's 3 parts to a water-fed pole, which one is the most expensive? Yeah, and it depends on how you buy the filter. because that can be the most expensive by far. It depends how high you want to reach. It depends how rigid you want the pole to be, which is basically determined by how high you want to reach. And the brush, even though the brushes are expensive, right, or they seem expensive, right, then they're not the most expensive part of the system. But I'll tell you, what is the most expensive part of a water-fed pole system is this guy. The guy that's using it, right? He is the money, right? He is the big cost. So the point about trying to cost justify, you know, when you go to cost justify, you know, getting involved in water-fed window cleaning, I'll pull this up here a bit, right? When you go to justify, you know, how much do I spend, which system do I buy, whatever it is that we're doing, if you focus on him instead of this, and definitely don't get distracted to this, you'll make a good decision, a good buying decision. Because, you know our slogan, right? What we want for you is faster. Why? Because if he can clean faster, he's gonna make more money. Better, why? Right? Because if we make better tools that work, he can clean more surfaces, clean things that he couldn't have done before, you know, like non-water soluble concretions, excretions, and pollutions. That's what we're chasing with the better, right? And then safer means he has a longer working life. He doesn't have as much risk to accident. He hasn't got as much repetitive motion injury, right? Then he's going to keep making dollars for a long time. So this is where your focus needs to be when you're I think, like from a designer point of view, I focus on this guy. How do I increase his hourly rate? If I can, whoever designs and sells the fastest water-fed pole system, that should be the one that's getting all the sales. In my logic, right? Because it just makes sense to me. I'm going to go through that. Let me have a look at that. I have a page on that. I'm going to ramble a little bit. I am going to ramble a little bit. Okay, so have a look at this one. All right, so this is cost-benefit analysis, which I used to sell solar systems and stuff like that. So when you sell solar systems, right, you tend to have to know this kind of maths, right? How to do cost-benefit analysis. So here it is. We say, like, if this is dollars across here, yep, that's dollars, then we'd say this is system. System A is cheap, right? It's basically a pole and a brush, nothing else, right? And it's $1,000, and that hits your budget. So, salesperson A says, hey, how much have you got? Let me match a system to what you've got. But system B, right, or option B, could be the same dude selling it, doesn't matter, right? Is a professional system, any window, anywhere, anytime, solving all of that. And let's say that system is $1,500, $500 more than a cheap system. Let's say this is a fiberglass or a hybrid system, pole, one brush, cheap RO, or it could be the other way. It could be like an RO with the cheapest pole and the cheapest brush possible. I've seen that option available in the market as well. Right now, what you want to do, right, to understand how to deal with, from a designer's point of view, what we're looking at is saying, look, we're not dealing with $1,000. No matter what, you're going to spend $1,000 because you're either going to buy a cheap system or you're going to buy a professional system. Okay, so let's leave the $1,000 out and let's talk about this $500 here. Right? That $500, that's the difference between cheap and professional. This is what we have to focus on, right? We'll put two eyes on this, yeah? I focus on this. So what we have to do is either say this system, we have to persuade, right, that it's faster, yeah? Because if it's faster, the guy's going to go from, let's say the guy's earning now here it is here. If this is his $75 an hour here, yeah? So this is the scale, right? That goes $1,000 there, yeah, down there. So he's earning $75 an hour. Now, he works, let's say he works 10, for the maths, I could say he works 10 hours a day. So in a day, at $75 an hour, right, that he earns, he's going to earn that much of the 1,000 in a day, right? Now, what if we could double his speed, which I know we can, like for example with Reach It, we can double the speed of somebody on somebody else's equipment. So now that $75 per hour, right, now becomes $150 an hour. And we've got testimonials from customers coming back to me, like in private messages and public, saying, I just earned $250, $300, $330 an hour, like all the time. So now you say, okay, he works 10 hours, just to keep it so that we're dealing apples with apples, at $150 an hour. In one day, this guy earned this much, right? That's his revenue. Now, you're the business owner. Let's say it's not you because you're not an owner-operator. So you're going to pay him, I don't know, what, $300? You might pay him that much. This is profit, right? And then, so you can see the folly in focusing on this. If you've got, you know, cash flow in a business and everything like that, why would somebody buy the cheapest tools when they've got the most expensive part is actually the part they employ to actually do the work, which could be yourself. I mean, you're still the most expensive person in the system. And the thing is that if you're got your own business and you're only earning $75 to $100 an hour, as much as it's a great lifestyle for you, right, you can't get to scale until $150 an hour. So you can't replace yourself until you get like an hourly rate of 150, which means you can pay the guy, you know, 30 or 40, you can cover all the downsides, and you can also cover yourself being out of the field, off the tools and stuff like that. Okay, so the second thing which I do is say, well, look, if you've got lean money, right, and you haven't got that, okay, why don't you just give me that $1,000, yeah, and I will finance you the $500 because I know that Reach It's going to pay for itself, right? So we will lend you our gross profit, and you know, we say there's only two things we need: our trust and your integrity, right? If we have the capability to trust you to pay us back our profit, and you have the integrity to do so no matter what, then we have a deal, right? So we then lend you this, 33% over 3 months. And that's how we deal with that if somebody's actually only got $1,000. But that's, you know, this is peak season now, so everybody should have some money. But that shows you from a designer point of view how we deal with, you know, cheap versus professional pricing, and then actually trying to focus people on instead of trying to focus people on which brand to buy, try and focus people on making sure that it's faster because they focus on the worker. If the worker's where the cost is, not the tool. Now I know that guys go, oh, my workers will break my tool, so I just want to buy cheap ones. No. I know that's true, but that's why we have insurance on Reach It, right? So that if you break the tools, we'll replace them. But so we kind of overcome it that way. But it's the wrong way to focus. If I can get my guys, if I can sell my guys on working faster, if I can give them bonuses for working faster, if they can work faster and are safer at the same time, less force, less effort, you know, less work, then they're going to be winners. All right? You can tell this is going to go on for a long time. Let's go. Okay. I'm very passionate about, you know, how to choose which water-fed pole, that it should be based on the 80-20 rule. And what I'm drawn here is some simple little example of somebody who might have a route that may look many multiples like this, but basically he's got maybe one 5-story building either in his route or that he wants in his route, right? Because you're choosing the water-fed pole at this point. So some guys are buying more water-fed poles, some guys are buying water-fed poles for the first time. So the principle is to say, you know, 80-20 rule says, do everything about 80% of your business at least, and then let your exceptions be dealt with separately. But what you see quite often is that, you know, the first thing a water-fed pole salesperson says is, how high do you want to clean, right? And somebody says, I want to go to 5 stories. And he goes, woohoo, money, right? So let me not use this page here, right? He says, money, money, money. There's a piece of window up there that guy dreams about selling. So I'm going to sell him the most expensive pole that I can, right? So that he can reach that window. And then the thing is that this thing's heavy. I was talking to a guy the other day, right? And this guy's got this monstrosity pole and he can't use it for anything except those windows, yeah? Because it doesn't pull apart. It's a fixed length pole. It's got a tube on the inside to make sure that he doesn't even think about pulling it apart. And then he can only use it on that. And then if he tries to use it compact, you know, basically it feels like it's getting like this, like heavier and heavier as it comes down, yeah? So the 80-20 rule says, have a look at all the glass that you clean. Don't have a look at the number of buildings, have a look at the glass, right? So let's do some maths here and see if we can pull up some percentages on what this might look like. So this route here has, you know, 5-story, 3-story, 2-story, 2-story, 3-story, 2-story, 2-story, 3-story, that looks like 4-story, yeah, that should be 4-story. One more line in there for me. I'll put one line there and one line there. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so if we draw some lines across here, that's that one there. We draw some lines across here. That's that one there. And then these ones are obvious, okay? So now, so therefore he has he's got one piece of glass or one floor, one story, one building, which is at 5 stories. Now, he's got one here, right? So we could say 1, 2 he's got at 4 stories in his route. Then how many has he got at 3 stories? He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stories of glass. It's just, you know, it's not fully accurate because there's different size buildings and different numbers of windows per property and all that sort of thing, but the logic is here. Okay, how much 2-story work has he got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. How many 1-story windows has he got? Which he could do by hand, by the way. He doesn't even need a water-fed pole. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. So now we can say, here's the total number of stories that he's got. 9 plus 9 is 18, plus 5 is 23, plus 2 is 25, it's 26, right? So we have 26 stories. That would be easier if it was 25, wouldn't it? Okay, so we have 26 stories, of which one, let's make it 25. I watched that guy in Khan Academy do something. Oh, that was a broadcast fail. So I think I know where we're up to. I was on the 80-20 rule. You can catch up real cool. So this is part 2 from the 80-20 rule onwards. And then I'll throw all this up on YouTube so you'll have it as a reference, okay? But you can tell this is going to go a long time. But this is, in my opinion, what from a designer's point of view, what you kind of need to understand in order to buy a water-fed bowl. Part 2. Okay, let's carry on. All right, so we're talking about the 80-20 rule. This is part 2 from a Facebook Live of what, from a designer's perspective, what I think everybody should know in order to, be able to clean a water-fed, to choose a water-fed pole. Now, not everybody can know all this, but this is ideally, what's sitting behind the design, of a product. Okay. And I was once a window cleaner, we used to clean to 5 stories back then because we only had hybrid poles, was the best poles we could buy and sell. So 5-story hybrid pole is heavy as, because that means it's mostly fiberglass and it's got a little bit of carbon fiber in it. That's what a hybrid means. Okay, so we've got, if we add these up, this is the total number of stories in this grid, right? So just as a quick summary, just for those who might be joining, if you've got a 5-story building in your route, like the equivalent of 1 5-story, a 3, a 2, a 2, 3-story, 2-story, 2-story, 4-story, 3-story, right? And what we're doing is we're actually counting the number of pieces of glass at 5 stories, the number of floors of windows or around the buildings of windows, that like floors at 4 stories, the number at 3 stories, the number at 2 stories, the number at 1 story, and we come up with 26, which for the purpose of maths we're going to say is 25. Okay, so we now have 25. So if we have 25, this makes it really easy, right? We can now say, let me overlay a clean page on this. All right, we can now say, for the purposes of, so I'll fold that down so that heading is still there. Oh, wrong page. Wrong number of floors. Sorry about this. Fold that down, 80-20 rule. All right, so now we know that we have, I drew that one, there is no copy of that. Okay, so let's go. If there's 1 out of 25 is 4%, yeah? 2 out of 25 is 8%. 5 out of 25 is 20%. 9 out of 35 is 9 times 4, 36. And 36. Right? So we can now say 4% at 5 stories. Let's go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Is 4%. Is 8%. Is 20%. Is 36%. Is 36%. Right? So if we add these two together, we come to 72%. So 72% of this guy's windows is 2 stories and below. And we add these together, right? Bring this 20% down, right? And add these two together, and you've got 92% of the glass this guy cleans is 3 stories and below. And then you come down here, oh, that can't be, something's gone wrong. 4%, I mean, it's in the maths. So anyway, there's 4%, that can't be. 72, 92, 36 and 36 is 72. Anyway, I've done this wrong here, but you'll work it out. Somebody will tell me I've got it wrong, hopefully. 9 fours is 36. I must, anyway, oh, because I've actually got 26, that's why, so it has to go over. Okay, what we know is that only 4% of the glass. So when somebody goes, hey, you know, you're going to buy a water-fed pole, and let's get you on the highest window, yeah? So we're going to sell you this pole that goes to this highest window. You're making your decision based on 4% of the glass, right? And you don't want to be making the decision based on 4% of the glass. You want to be making the decision based on 72 or 92% of the glass. So that's why when we look at the 80-20 rule, you know, we say, for example, we say if 80% of your windows you clean are 3 stories and below, right, then you would choose tactical. And if 80% of the windows are 4 stories and below, you would choose warrior. Just as simple as that. Yep. Because the maths is there. Now, actually, if 80% of the windows you are going to clean is 2 stories and below, which is, for example, a pressure washer or something like that, let's make it a little exception there. The Mini is an awesome little pole. Like we've been upgrading that slowly and surely over the years. Like it's if you saw a 6-year-old Mini or a 7-year-old or 8-year-old Mini and the current Mini is noticeably better. It's not as great as the tactical because we spent a lot of money in the top sections of the tactical with high modulus carbon fiber. But, you know, just a pressure washer or somebody's only going to do ground and second floor, then the Mini is right there, right? And then in the end, you know, we haven't quite got it out yet because we want to make a pole that's different, like better than anybody's ever made before. But that's where, you know, the mother of all poles will come in there. So that's from a design perspective. What are we trying to achieve? You know, is making sure that 80%. Now, if you have that, oh, that was meant to be my pole selection guide right there. So let's say you have the tactical. Yeah, I'll bring the tactical over here. So let's say the tactical, he can clean to, this is 4 stories, right? Look at it, change that. This is now 4 stories building. 4, 3, 2, like that. Okay, so he's got, he wants to clean the 2 stories. So he says, okay, I've got 2 stories for tactical. I can reach that. I can reach 3 stories for tactical. Now I want to reach 4 stories. Okay, so if he wants to reach 4 stories, then he'd get tactical. And that's where we say, okay, we know that his 80-20 rule is here, right? Is tactical, out of the box cleans 3 stories. Yep, oh, anyway, it's there. Oh, this is the line that's missing there. Okay, so out of the box, tactical reaches 3 stories, but then he may want to go to 4 stories or 5 stories, yeah? Whatever it is that he wants to go to. So we then have the plus A and plus B extensions to cater for the 20%, yeah? So we'd say out of the box you can reach your 3-story, 80% of the glass. As you go to reach to 4, and as you go to reach to 5, then you add plus A and plus B, and you can actually add plus A, B, B. But your focus on efficiency, accuracy, rigidity, everything is all, you know, maximized, you know, in 80% or 90% of the glass that you clean. Now, why a reach-it pole's a little bit more expensive than some other poles that are at the same length? Because every reach-it pole, like if a tactical is out of the box at 3 stories, so it's, you know, I'll talk about pole lengths in a minute, right? Then it's got to be able to go to 5 stories. So the pole that you're buying as a 3-story pole is able to double its length. Every reach-it pole is able to double its length with extensions. So if we just made it that it could only go to, you know, 25 feet, let's say, right? Or as a 25-foot pole, and it was never going to put a tube inside. Don't let it pull apart. Don't let anybody touch it. It's just a 25-foot pole. We could make it much cheaper because we know nobody can we know exactly how much pressure they're going to put on it, how much load it's going to have, and it will never have any more load than that. Whereas the reach it range, so those guys will want to sell you a 2-story pole, a 3-story pole, a 4-story pole, a 5-story pole, a 6-story pole, and sell you all those poles, yeah. So, but from a reach it perspective, what my logic is that I'll sell you a pole that is able to be extended, but that means I have to make this more rigid, yeah. So it's going to cost me more to make that base pole, the master telescopic pole, and then we have to put, you know, high modulus carbon fiber in for the extensions to be able for you to be able to get your exceptions, you know, your 4-story and your 5-story and whatever, like that. And the thing is that if you look at the maths, like this is like one of those really simple things that I saw a presentation from a competitor. Somebody sent me the little video from his presentation, and he had, you know, a whole lot of buildings lined up. I don't know if I've got that building page any more of them left.